This is Rhode Island, the smallest state in the U.S., outnumbered by 9 U.S. cities in terms of population and 8 in terms of area. In an attempt to gain some distinction, it held the record for having the longest name, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. Until 2020, when Massachusetts took over, Rhode Island holds the honor of being the first state to abolish slavery and is also home to both the oldest carousel and tavern in the U.S. Furthermore, it is the birthplace of the famous horror writer H.P. Lovecraft, who often used Rhode Island as a setting for his stories. During the late 19th century, Newport, Rhode Island, served as a summer retreat for some of America's wealthiest families, such as the Astors and Vanderbilts, whose mansions are now open to the public as museums. The state also boasts the highest density of registered boats and ships in the country, with over 100,000 registered vessels. Rhode Island made history in 1939 by being the first state to have an all-female legislature, with a House of Representatives composed entirely of women. But among all the other impressive attributes, it is home to CVS, the world's largest healthcare company headquartered in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the history of this corporation, which is constantly getting into Twitter feeds by printing receipts the length of an adult dolphin. As usual, let's start at the very beginning. The story begins with a simple shoemaker, Frank Melville, who started his business in 1892, taking over 3 small stores from his employer, who fled the town to hide from his debts. Frank did not get overly creative and named them Melville. The business grew steadily but slowly. It got its first huge boost when his son, John Ward Melville, came along and became the driving force behind it. In partnership with a New Hampshire shoe manufacturer, Ward started producing basic but sturdy shoes under the name Tom McCann, priced at $3.99. And man, did those shoes sell like hotcakes. After a few years, the company owned over 300 stores in the Northeast and couldn't keep up with the demand for its shoes, so the manufacturer had to buy another plant to keep up with demand. During the Great Depression, Melville hit some rough patches, with sales dropping 21% in 1932, but it managed to survive by expanding smartly and being financially savvy. In 1936, it went public, and by the end of the decade, it had over 650 Tom McCann stores, as well as other chains like John Ward and Frank Todd. Over the years, the company went through several mergers and acquisitions, expanding its product offerings and opening up more women's and children's shoes. In 1968, it started a clothing chain called Chess King that catered to the hip and cool youth. It also snagged a chain that sold apparel for young women called Foxwood. But its biggest move that year was acquiring consumer value stores, CVS, a discount health and beauty store in Massachusetts that had just 40 stores. You might know it as the drugstore with the red logo. Shoes remained its main business, and by 1970, Melville had 1,644 retail outlets, making it the 5th largest shoemaker in the U.S. Later that decade, Melville went global, selling shoes everywhere from Switzerland to Japan. It was doing so well that by 1976 made $1 billion in annual sales. After Ward Melville passed away, the company began shifting away from shoes and into other areas, and in a few years, only about half of its sales were shoes, but that didn't stop it from expanding even further. It had over 4,500 stores by the end of the disco era, with CVS alone raking in over $400 million in sales. In 1979, it became the biggest shoe retailer in America. Unfortunately, even Melville couldn't escape the recession of the early 80s. It had to close down 72 stores, sell its Foxmore chain, and lay off 2,000 employees, but it still managed to bring in billions in sales and profits. On the flip side, this downturn did not influence the overall results of the decade for Melville, during which both sales and earnings went up over threefold. To cement its success, Melville created a profit-sharing plan and employee stock ownership plan, giving about 6% of the common stock to its workers. As time passed, the company realized that its most promising future lay in the pharmaceutical industry. Thus, in 1996, it underwent a complete rebranding and changed its name to CVS. The following year, it shifted its focus entirely to drugstore operations. Through another acquisition the same year, it became the largest prescription drug dispenser in the United States, filling more than 11% of all prescriptions. Over the next 2 decades, the company continued to expand through a series of acquisitions. establishing a robust online presence and securing its position as the leading drugstore in the nation. In 2021, CVS Health was ranked 4th on the Fortune 500 list and 7th on the Fortune Global 500 list. By the year 2022, the CVS Corporation employed 300,000 people and operated almost 10,000 stores. The company has consistently aimed to present a positive image to the public. To this end, it created the CVS Caremark Charitable Trust, which provides financial support for healthcare, education, and community involvement initiatives in areas where CVS pharmacy stores are situated. Additionally, the company operates CVS Samaritan vans, which travel along major highways in select locations to offer free roadside assistance to drivers in need. These vans are equipped to perform various on-site vehicle repairs, provide medical aid, diffuse tense situations, and call for additional assistance from the police and emergency services. Furthermore, the company is committed to raising funds for nonprofit organizations across New England and has successfully raised millions with its CVS Health Charity Classic Golf Tournament. It must take action to improve its appearance, as a negative image seems to be following CVS, without it having to actively seek it out. The company has been embroiled in numerous scandals over the years. It was found to have shared prescription drug information with a marketing firm, which then used the data to send targeted direct mailings, breaching the privacy of customers who had trusted the company. Additionally, it was accused of accepting kickbacks from drug makers in exchange for promoting their products over competitors under contracts with government programs. It also misled its customers into purchasing more expensive drugs to boost its profits. In November 2021, a federal jury in Cleveland held pharmacies operated by CVS Health and others liable for contributing to the opioid epidemic in 2 Ohio counties by failing to properly monitor the drugs. Although all of these transgressions have occurred, the company has learned from its mistakes, and those responsible have been punished, with the CVS paying its fines and committing to not repeating these actions in the future. Even the smallest states can have huge success stories and positive impacts on society. Even a small shoe shop can expand into the largest pharmaceutical company. Growth requires change, and it's important to embrace new perspectives and take bold steps toward progress. When businesses take responsibility for their past mistakes and work towards rectifying them, they can inspire a ripple effect that leads to a fairer and more equitable society, while also creating sustainable profits. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing.